Good afternoon, residents. It is Monday, June 15th, although you're seeing this Tuesday afternoon, June 16th. It's a busy time around here, and I'll fill you in, but I think we'll start as we usually do with Steve, giving us a prayer for where we are in life.
Thank you. God, you who are above us and beyond us, and by our side and within us. We lift up our prayers this day with a moment of anxiety about the announcement of one of our own getting the COVID-19 virus. We pray for that person, for the comfort that you could bring and for the family that can support, and for us as we pray that she or he might be made better. We also pray for all of us who feel anxiety because now we are explicitly visited by this virus in this community. Guide us. Be with those who make decisions in leadership and in care and in activities, that not only may they be protected, but they may be inspired and nurture our spirits and guide us that we might trust you for our future. Amen. Whoa, you're out of breath here? Yeah, I mean, this has really been rough. Oh, you mean all the announcements about... No, I mean the majority rules. It's like the Kentucky Derby. I was all exhausted watching all of that. Oh, well, majority rules. So do we have a winner? Yes. I'd say just by a hair, but that would be rather inappropriate for me, with so much hair. But by a nose, maybe. We have a winner! Well, I am interested in knowing who that winner is. The winner is 4 immigrants plus 4. But let me tell you, that was very close. In fact, 2 of the groups got some extra points by getting grouped from assisted living as part of their group. Oh, well, that's good. They got more involved. Well, that was quite a program. When are we going to present the prize to the winner? Next week. Next week, during this filming, we'll bring them in, because other events intervene, everything's happening so fast around here. Well, I know, but it's good to have a winner, and it's good to have a little fun, and we'll celebrate next week, and we appreciate you keeping track of it. You say it was a really tight race, huh? Boy, was it ever. It was really exhausting to watch it. But I'll rest while Lynn brings us a new word.
Okay, voice, thank you. All right. Well, it seems the biggest topic right now is COVID-19 or coronavirus. So I will tell you what's been happening at the shores. This past Friday, June 12th, 15 people came from the Department of Health and the National Guard. They came to test all of our staff and all of the assisted living residents. There were a few staff that were away for vacations or on medical leave who could not be tested, but we had 99 out of 105 that were tested. So far, we've had 1 positive case from a staff member, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. All the others are negative. I was very happy Saturday evening about 10 o'clock to receive my results that were negative. I didn't think anything else, but it was just good to see in black and white, I'll tell you that. So a number of staff, I don't have the total number yet, but a lot of people have already received their results. Have not heard about the assisted living residents yet, but all the other results that I've heard about staff, except for the one, have all been negative. So that's a very positive sign to be negative. Saturday night around 9 o'clock, I had just left the community and was making my regular trek across the Skyway Bridge when the phone rang, and it was to tell me that one of our residents who went to the hospital had the COVID-19 test and was positive. Well, that set off hours worth of more phone calls and ways that we had to protect people, what we had to do. Indeed, this resident didn't see the person around the community very much. The person had 24 hours worth of care every day by Westminster Home Care. And so that involved a number of Westminster Home Care staff to have personal care given to that resident for 24 hours. Actually, it affected 15 of the Westminster Home Care staff. Those home care staff are being tested today to find out if there are results. My understanding was one was tested over the weekend and she was positive, and she actually is currently in the hospital, so we want to keep her in our prayers as well. 15 Westminster Home Care staff members had also reached out and given care to some of our other residents. 2 were in assisted living, and there were 6 here on the Shores campus and 5 at the Palms campus. So all those people are asked to be quarantined for the period that would include 14 days to make sure that they're safe as far as not having contracted the virus. Also, on the same day, Friday, that we had testing, Westminster Palms also had testing. Now, they already heard back that 2 of their staff are positive, and those 2 staff have been sent home for 14 days. Staff, before they're allowed to come back to work, must receive 2 COVID-19 tests that have to be at least 24 hours apart, and both must be negative before they come back. You can't have one positive and then negative, or negative and then a positive. They must have 2 negative tests before they can come back and work. A concern was raised about those staff members and their pay, because they it was felt among administration of Westminster that sometimes, through absolutely no fault of their own, they're exposed by a family member who works somewhere else and is a carrier. So the Mercy Fund that a lot of our residents have donated to will go to help cover those wages of those staff members who have to be out for extended quarantines because of the COVID virus. Sunday morning is when I learned that we had 1 staff member that was tested positive. Indeed, Sunday was a busy day. I did inform Steve, as well as the Vice Chair, Ray Splitzer, through phone calls, that we did have these positive tests for the staff, for the resident, because at that point I hadn't yet learned about the staff member. And then at about 8 a.m., and I know that was early, and I'm sorry I had to make an early call to some of you, I did a call them all, telling all of you about the positive test. So that staff member, like I said, will be out for 14 days. We're concerned. We don't want what has happened at other communities. We've heard that one person brings it in, and all of a sudden half of the residents are testing positive, and that's the last thing that we want here. So I have put Sunday evening, which I think was last night, but it seems like it's a month ago, in all your boxes, a letter, as well as an information sheet that told you about what was going to be shut down for this period of time. We are canceling all group activities, all fitness classes. The salon has been closed, just to keep people separate and distanced. so that we can get through a 2-week period and not have any new cases. So I ask your cooperation with that. Also, your cooperation with all the precautions and restrictions that we have already put in place. It's what's kept us safe so far and hopefully can keep us safe going forward. So please continue to do what you've been doing. That's the reason also we had to close the dining room. We are now back to the way the dining department has operated before, and I'll give you a little more information about that later. We have a very detailed contact tracing. Several residents have asked me about that. We call it exposure management. We have a very strong protocol for that. I spent quite a bit of the day yesterday working on that contact tracing or exposure management tool to find everyone who has been in touch with the resident and the staff member casually over the last 14 days, as well as very close contact. And close contact would be someone who is providing care and been in very close proximity of that resident for about 15 minutes or more. So that's what we consider very close contact. Casual contact might be someone who you see in the hallway, you keep your social distance pretty much, but you're not in close contact for a minimum of 15 minutes or more. Yesterday also, continuing on that, I am continuing to work yesterday all day and today up until now on being in touch with people who possibly were in close contact or casual contact with that resident and that staff member. Yesterday morning, I had to alert the Department of Health, Florida Department of Health at the Pinellas County Division, and I talked to 3 different people there. Actually, come to think of it, 4 different people, because I just had a call this afternoon, all asking questions about that particular case and concerned very much about our residents. So they're taking all the information and trying to help us with it. Also, ACA. I think you've heard me talk about ACA before. ACA is our state regulatory agency. They also represent the federal government for CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. So they also called yesterday, wanted to find out about our residents and our staff. Primarily our residents is what they choose to look at, because that's where they have to enforce their regulations. Like I said earlier, last evening I put a letter and an information sheet in all your in-house mailboxes, what we casually call the cubby boxes, but they're your in-house mailboxes across from the beauty shop. So there's information for you there. I've been working with the home care agency, with the home health agencies who's provided care to our residents. And we have also changed our protocol. Our staff now is wearing these type of masks. These are called surgical procedure masks instead of the cloth masks. And our nurses, our LPNs in assisted living, are all wearing the N95 masks because they get pretty close to our assisted living residents when providing care. Everyone who has been in touch with this resident, which was so very minimal, and the staff member, which would have only been, if you saw that staff member, it would have been a very casual contact with that person. The exposure to all of our residents is minimal. I want to say it again. The exposure to our residents is minimal. I don't think that we have a lot to be worried about here, particularly if you are protecting yourselves by following the precautions. I know this is the kind of information that people love to talk about it. We can't help it. We're humans. We hear something, we want to share it and whisper down the alley, and the story gets embellished, and it becomes something that maybe necessarily isn't true. That's why I'm spending all this time on this particular town hall talking to you about this, because it's significant. And I want you to hear it, as I always say, when you hear it from my mouth, is what I know to be true and what I'm going to share with you. I don't want you to engage in rumors that aren't things that I didn't say to you, because they probably aren't true. So please continue your precautions and your restrictions. And again, the opportunity for our residents and staff to be affected if we're following proper precautions is minimal.
Lynn, I would just reinforce that by saying I have heard from authentic sources that this resident has lived in 3 different buildings. So
I don't know that to
if
be
that
true.
person could be split in 3, they'd be all right.
Yeah,
They knew it was from Little Bayou or Bahama Place or independent residents. So I'm just saying, the rumors spread big.
Yes. And just to mention that as well, people have wanted me to tell you who the person is. There are laws called HIPAA, which you hear when you go to your doctor's office. They can't share medical information because it's your private information. If it was Steve, I certainly would not be sharing information about Steve. I would want to protect him. If it's about me, I don't want anybody talking about health information about me. I expect you to protect my privacy. And so we cannot share specific information like that. That's, first of all, a law that we'd be breaking. But also we care too much about each other that we don't want to spread rumors, and we don't want people ill affected by gossip or scuttlebutt, whatever you want to call it. So yes, we're not talking about people who've lived on the rooftop or at the bottom of the pool or
That would be a new one.
or in the park. We can't share information like that. Okay, I'm going to go off of COVID for a little bit here. The H, the hurricane information. I'm still missing 22 residents' information. Please contact Eva. She will make you copies so that you can get that in. We're trying really hard, working with all the COVID things, but also trying to prepare for hurricane evacuation. We still haven't given up on the chance that we might be able to take some really frail independent living residents along, but we can't do that until the county, Pinellas County, provides us with an approved emergency manual. Our emergency manual, since I've been here 3 years, has grown and grown and grown. And we submitted it back in February. They wanted some specific hurricane evacuation information, which was, it was too specific to be even applied, but we provided it to them. And we're waiting now to hear if it was approved since April. I contacted the person at Pinellas County last week, and they said we were number 14 in her row of manuals that she had to review. So we still don't have an evacuation plan that's been blessed by the county. I don't see anything wrong with our plan, so if something should happen, we're going to follow it. But we need your help in completing those evacuation forms and medical forms that were handed out several months ago. We really need them back. I know at least 1 or 2 calls have been placed to individuals. They're coming in, and we appreciate the ones that have complied and brought them in, but we still are missing 22. So please help us. Dining. The new dining program that we started last Wednesday seemed to be going well, and I heard so many positive comments from residents. They liked being able to choose their entree and their vegetables and their starches, and people were positive about what came to them as a hot meal. People liked the opportunity to pick it up here. People also, not a lot of people, but a number of people decided that they would try the dine-in in our main dining room. I don't believe there was one time we had a capacity of up to 44 people. I don't believe we even reached close to that capacity during any of our seatings. But but we were ready to continue on until Saturday night and Sunday came along, when we had these exposures, these cases that showed up positive, and for the protection of everyone, we have closed it down. So, if last Tuesday and before that you were receiving meals, you should be receiving meals. If you would like to receive meals, you need to call the dining department so that we can get you on the list so that you can receive meals. But we're not going back to the hot meal with the choices right now, because the process of delivering all those meals is all consuming. So hopefully, when we said we were going to take about 2 weeks and reevaluate to see where we were, that puts us towards the very end of June. At that point, hopefully I'll be able to say we're going back to some of the things that we were doing before. But for now, we appreciate your cooperation in kind of staying put in place. We are going to go back to this pop-up store being open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It was only open, going to be open on Fridays, but because of this, we are going back to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think that's it for dining. Gatherings and trips out into the community. We are stopping temporarily the groups. We were just about to go up to small groups now, and we thought this week we would be up to groups of at least 10. We were hoping next week we'd be able to go up to groups of 25 indoors and 50 or less outside. We have stopped those for the next 2 weeks because we want to get a control on the COVID-19. We only want the cases that we have, and we do not want any more. So we don't want people exposed, and we are going to stop those groups for the time being. Likewise, trips out of the community. All along I've been saying, please only go if you must go. Don't just think, oh, well, I'd like a pack of gum, maybe I'll run to CVS. We are encouraging people to only take trips out of the community if very important. That includes doctor's appointments. If you've got a routine doctor's appointment and you're feeling pretty good and you think you can wait another month or two, we would like it if you change that appointment. Certainly, if you have to go out for procedures that are very important to you and your doctor says you must have them, or you have things like chemo, or there's a spot on your leg that has to be removed because the doctor's worried about it being cancerous, please, those are essential appointments and you need to go to those. We're talking about routine trips to the grocery store or the pharmacy or out to a dress shop or something like that. We don't encourage those at all. We want you to stay put and stay safe. So for the next 2 weeks, we're really going to buckle down. We ask that you do that too. It's kind of surprising. Just today, I heard that there was another resident's family member who did not come to the front and did not go through the screening process or the temperature check, but went over to one of our buildings and was waiting outside just for their parent to come and jump in the car and take them away. We've talked about this and we've talked about this, and families, visitors, they're not allowed here. So please try to work with that. We don't know where your family's been. We don't know how many touches your family has made out in the community where they might have picked up something and could possibly expose you. Please, there are no visitors on our campus, and we need to continue to be very strict about that. Precautions. Masks. Critical. They do absolutely nothing for you if you have them down around your neck. Your neck is not going to be what is going to take in any droplets or anything. It also won't help you if your nose is exposed. Your mask must cover your nose and your mouth. That's the way you are most protected. Please, We will be starting to send residents back to their homes if they walk in this building without a mask. We've been trying to be very helpful and kind and say, oh, well, here's a mask and here's a mask. And our inventory of masks has gone way down. We're asking that you please place your masks, since you probably don't wear them in your homes, on your front door. When you're leaving your home, you put your mask on. If you come here without them, we're going to be sending you back home to get your mask. And we don't want to inconvenience you, but we've given out about as many masks as we can. So we really need your cooperation in wearing your mask when you're outside of your unit at all times. We're working hard to encourage all the staff to wear their masks all the time. And again, when you're wearing your mask, it must cover your nose and it must cover your mouth. So please work with us on this. Please keep at least 6 feet socially distanced between you and anyone else. It's very hard. I know myself, I find I'm going to talk to someone and naturally the instinct is to get closer to them. And then I realize I'm doing it and then I back up. And I don't mean to be offensive, but I'm going to keep my distance from you. Not because I wouldn't love to give you a hug, but I can't do that at this time. So I'm going to back up and make sure that there's that distance between us. Please do the same. Washing your hands and sanitizing your hands, I think we were very strong on that in the very beginning. And people, I don't think, are taking it as seriously. I go to the bathroom and then wash my hands in between my hands, on top of my hands, up my arms a little bit. I scrub my nails into my palms. I get a good lather going. I keep doing that because I don't want to be the person that would spread COVID to you or anybody else here. Please wash your hands. If you find yourself touching things and there isn't a place you can go wash your hands, because soap and water is really the best, but then use a hand sanitizer. Please take care of yourself. What we need to do is we need to get back to the basics where we were when we first started this a few months ago, and that was social distancing, masks, and washing your hands. Please take it seriously. I'm counting on you. I don't want to get COVID. I don't want you to get COVID, but it's important that we go back to those basics. And the last thing I'd like to say is please visit your mailbox pretty often. There's some of those mailboxes are so jam-packed that when I was stuffing last night the letter and the information sheet, I had to really roll it up and just try to find a way to put it into a mailbox. That's where you get your information. That's where you can stay on top of things, that as we have things to share, we put them in your mailboxes. If it's really critically important, we'll do a call them all. But mostly they'll be in your in-house mailboxes, so please make sure that you visit that regularly. I have a couple of questions that we'll go through. First of all, when the fitness center opens, can we consider things like games, chess and bridge and bingo and euchre, and can we start with those? We're going to have to put some pretty tight protocols around those, because particularly with cards, everybody is touching everything. No one likes cards more than me. I love a good card game, but we're going to have to work on that, but we want to get you back to those things that you enjoy. So we'll probably put good protocols in place and expect that you'll follow them. But as of right now, remember, we're staying apart from each other. I think it would be nice if there could be a screen around the salon chair in the hall. People who have their hair colored, like me, since I got the snow removed, know that it's kind of odd that when you're sitting there for a half an hour or 45 minutes with all that stuff on your hair, doesn't look very becoming. I don't think we'll put a screen in the hallway, but when the salon opens again, I've already talked to the stylists that if someone is sitting with hair color on, that they ask that person to sit more comfortably either in the conference room or in the back of the gallery if there's nothing going on there. As we move forward and open the salon back up, if activities are going on, we'll find a way to make you be comfortable with that. Kudos to the librarian for the excellent choice of books, audiobooks. They have kept us sane during this trying period, and kudos to those who are reshelving the books. There's always mountains of them. So someone was really praising our library. I see a lot of people in there. This was a question I did not know the answer to. Does Westminster Communities pay into the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation Fund in the event of bankruptcy, Chapter 11? Wow, that's way above my pay grade. I had no idea. So I called our CFO up in Orlando, Hank Keith, and he was surprised by the question. And he said, wow, someone knows about things like that. He said, but actually at Westminster Communities, we don't have a pension plan. We have a 403B plan, and those are individually owned by each employee, so that if there would be bankruptcy, no one would be able to touch the money that I put into my 403B or that Westminster puts into my 403B. That's individually owned by each employee, so it would not be touched by bankruptcy. That's the information I got from our CFO, and that's the story that I'm going to believe, because I believe Hank. Why can't single people have a 15 meal plan? Right now, we're not even going there to talk about meal plans, because the whole dining plan and meal delivery and all of that is, it's up in the air again. We're back to the old way that we did for a couple months. There was a new 15 meal plan put forward for people who had no meal plan. If indeed you live in one of the buildings, you have a meal plan, or out in the villas, you have a meal plan. We have not changed that again, and I'm not sure that that will be changed in the future, but I will bring it up. I have no knowledge of anything happening like that at any near time in the future. Having the Bodies in Motion on Channel 732 is wonderful. I'm hopeful that it will continue indefinitely, even after the pandemic. I did check with Ashley, and indeed, they plan on using Channel 32 continued down in the future.
732.
732, what did I say?
32.
732. And indeed, we will be going forward with that. There will not be as many programs, but there will be more programs than there were before this pandemic. And indeed, we will be keeping Bodies in Motion and the fitness classes on there. Lee has agreed to keep doing that. You can also find them on My W Life under virtual fitness, and also there is just another fitness button as well. So I'm glad to hear people are enjoying that. When do they hope to repair the Allen parking lot now that the plumbing issue is resolved? John Enders, our director of maintenance, is going out to get bids for that. So I imagine the repair will happen as soon as we get the bids and see what the enormous price for that will be. And then we have to get the okay to spend that money. Excuse me. Can we buy soup for takeout and fruit salad? I will ask Dining if they can put that into the pop-up store. And this must have been before last week, because it says, especially since the pop-up store is only on Fridays. Well, it's now on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I'm going to ask that they have soup on all those days. And there's another question about Bodies in Motion. Can it be maintained on 732? And we answered that question already. Comment: if you raise an umbrella while enjoying the pool, please put it back down before you leave and tie it down. This is storm season, and indeed those umbrellas can take wind and go places that we might not be able to retrieve them. So please take it down if you put it up, and tie it down. That would be very helpful. What is the status of housekeeping? Housekeeping will remain as it always has. And we've gone back to full housekeeping services. So if you have a question about what we do, there's a list of what we provide on every other weekly basis. There's a list of what is supposed to be cleaned on an annual basis. And anything beyond that, you can certainly pay a fee to have additional housekeeping services if you like. And since the salon staff are tested for COVID and the salon is super clean, why close it? Just because we're closing everything for now. And we hope to open that up very soon for everyone. And those were the comments, a lot of comments today. So there we have it for now.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. One question, just clear, because it got confused before. We're pulling back in, but it's still okay, is it, for me to invite a couple to come into my apartment as long as we keep distance?
I would say we were trying to advance those numbers. We went from a couple to 4 to 6 to 8 to less than 10. I would say at this point I would keep it to just a very few amount of people.
But 2 or 3 would be okay.
2 or 3 should be fine. And you're still, even though we've pulled back all of this, I don't want people. I had comments yesterday. People were saying, "Oh, we have to stay indoors now." No, you don't. People were saying, "Oh, well, we can't. We have to be in our apartments and our houses. We can't go visit other people. We can't go up to Bahama Place." Yes, you can. You can visit other people, but please to keep it to a minimum. And you're welcome to be outside, enjoy the fresh air, get some exercise. We just don't want people to be in close contact. We want people wearing masks. We want you washing your hands. Doing what you can to keep us free of COVID.
Well, and that is my final comment to you as well, that yes, it's disappointing to get a little free and then pull back in. And in some ways we got a little numb because we saw all the national statistics, but we didn't have anything here. And so it felt like, well, we could open up more. And we could to a degree. But it's important that if nothing else, this weekend has brought it home that this is real. And this is us who are endangering each other or protecting each other. And so we need to pay attention to that. But in addition to paying attention to the physical, pay attention to your emotional status ahead of time. Don't get totally depressed and then pay attention to it and name it. You know, if you're feeling anxious, be able to say to someone, "I'm feeling anxious." There's no shame in that. And a little bit of conversation, a little bit of fun sometimes could help you. And it's important that you keep your spirits up, and as you do, you're keeping other people's spirits up. This game of majority rules was sort of silly, but it got some people to interact. And I was particularly pleased that a couple of them reached out to assisted living. Once this 14 days is up that we can explore some more, we're going to do some other things like that. But you can do it too. I just emailed a person who was feeling a little bit down, not here, but away, and she is in a place where it's being restricted too. And I said, you know, find a person that you haven't been in contact with and learn how to do the Zoom or the FaceTime or whatever and do a facial contact, but also agree that for 1 hour you're going to be silly with each other. You'd be surprised at how that could help. There's plenty of medical evidence that if you laugh, even if you're faking it, it helps you. You don't even have to think it's funny if you laugh. It actually medically can help you. And emotionally, we need that. So you have seen the extent to which your staff, and particularly Lynn, is putting into keeping you safe. It's a complex operation, and there'll be changes as things progress. But you're in a good place. But be good to yourself, too. And be good to each other. Because when you're good to each other, if you help somebody, even with just a phone call or a note or whatever, you're actually helping yourself as well. You'll feel better. Every time I've had an opportunity to help somebody, just a little thing, I felt better after. Well, go ahead and feel good. Help others. Pay attention to yourself. Keep safe. And you can trust that this organization, particularly the local, but certainly the Orlando too, but are working hard to try to figure it out for you. Because they care about you and because you are worth it. So trust that you're worth it. All right, we will finish up, huh?
Thank you, everyone, and thanks for those funnies. I need those smiles every day, so I appreciate the residents that are sending me funny things. Thank you very much. Be safe.